So I've just completed my first short film for no budget, and I wanted to go through some of the things I did right, some of the things I did wrong, in order to help any other first-time filmmaker on their filmmaking journey. Now, this film spanned across 2 years, and I think because it took up such a large portion of my life, it demands a large degree of exploration.
Every time you were saying, oh yeah, I really want to do another short film, and I kept on saying to you, why don't you just do Kevin's Odyssey? But obviously it was a big job.
Now, this is my friend Chris, and I've known him since high school, which is where our filmmaking relationship started. I don't know if you'd quite call this filmmaking, but obviously we were inspired by things like Jackass. And we actually made about £50 profit selling DVDs of this in the playground at lunchtime. But after a while, we moved on from throwing ourselves into bushes and actually started writing some skits, which are probably some of the biggest sacks of shit you'll ever see.
3, 2, 1. Today on Muscle Take TV, we're gonna see if Josh can pick me up on the chair.
Now, after high school, I decided it would be a great idea to start my own video production company, which might sound like a brave and bold decision, the only thing being that I didn't know anything about video. Now, after about a year of recording live bands in various venues across Manchester and editing on a software called ULead, which was clunky and probably doesn't exist anymore, I decided that the learning curve was too steep and sought the tried and true method of university. Chris, on the other hand, found himself a girlfriend and moved away. In fairness, he was much more interested in the fun side of filmmaking rather than taking it to an academic level, which I completely understand. But every time I'd come and visit him, I'd bring my camera, we'd write a script, and we'd make a film. So how long is it going to take to get there now?
A couple of hours.
And pretty much for the next decade, whenever we were together, we'd come up with ideas and bring them to life. And what better person to make your first real short film with? Now you might be thinking, why did it take me so long to make my first real short film?
People get blocked. Everyone gets like a really good idea of like, I want to do something. Sometimes you sit around, watch a movie, listen to podcasts, you're like, I want to do that. Then they stop because like, I don't know how, I don't have the money. Don't ask people for money. If you do that, then you just give yourself an excuse to never really take the next step. Because you're like, well, I couldn't find the budget. Like a lot of people ask me like, I was where you were once, can't you help me? And I was like, well, the difference was when I was where you were, I never asked anybody for help. I just did it myself.
Now, one thing to make clear is that neither me or Chris knew really anything about how to make a real film, and especially when it came to screenwriting. Sure, we'd watched a few videos on YouTube on story structure and knew about Dan Harmon's Story Circle.
The so-called Story Circle is my attempt to remove all of the hard and repeated work from the task of breaking a story.
And in reality, we probably thought this was going to be us having fun on a larger, more professional scale, which is one of the main reasons we love creating together.
I mean, that's kind of what we've always done, isn't it? We make stupid shit that is probably not funny to other people. You know, people will watch it and like, I don't really get that. I suppose when we became adults, we were actually able to put effort into it. But we still maintain that stupid sense of humour.
So after a few weeks of tossing ideas back and forth, Chris eventually sent me a script that I thought was so crazy, so goofy, and was so outside of my comfort zone that I guess I was deeply fascinated by it.
One day you rang and you were like, yeah, I think we're going to do Kevin's Odyssey. I was pretty surprised.
Did you believe me?
Not fully. I'm not going to lie. I thought it would have been like, like, oh yeah, you'd try and tackle it in some way and if I'm honest, maybe get a bit bored of it and leave it. And obviously it needed more than just us to do it.
Well, it needed
Yeah.
non-human beings.
Oh, absolutely. It needed fucking everything, didn't it? It needed dinosaur suits, it needed owls, it needed everything. Yeah, plus it's outside. Just a whole lot. I think every time we've done kind of scripting like that, I never really think about the actual implications of making it. It's more about getting a story down. So, yeah, I mean, even writing this, and I'm writing all this kind of stupid stuff into it, never once thought that it'd actually be made.
So while Chris had created the idea, me as the director had a lot of work to do. The first thing I had to establish was how much this film would cost, also known as the budget. So I sheepishly looked at my bank account and decided to allocate £3,000 of my own money to getting this project off the ground. So undeniably, this was going to be a tough ask, as the film clocked in at around 30 minutes in length, included a real-life owl, was all shot outdoors, and included various high-stakes gunfight scenes. So I really had to break down the script into sections: characters, props, costumes, locations, special effects. And with regards to equipment, I'd built up quite a collection of cameras, sound and lighting equipment due to the 10 years of professional videography work. So this really didn't factor in. I think the only thing that I ended up buying extra was a car mount, which is actually a really scary piece of equipment to use as you see your camera driving away from you and can only pray that it'll come back in one piece. So I read through the script again, and scene by scene, line by line, I asked myself some questions. Where will I get the actors? Will I be paying for travel and hotels? What will they be wearing? Do I have to buy their clothes, or can I find it somewhere? Where are we shooting? Will I have to rent locations, or can I get them for free? In this scene they're driving. Can I use my car, or should I rent one? This guy gets shot. Where can I find a good SFX artist? What are we gonna eat? And just as an FYI, I did actually pay for my outdoor locations. My thought process was that if I was on a really tight time scale in order to save money, then the last thing I wanted was interference from strangers and dog walkers asking what's going on or trying to get themselves involved. And especially because we were using fake guns, which brings on its own set of problems when shooting in public. Then after all this, I would have to create a rough shoot schedule. This would mean breaking the scenes down into shots so I could estimate how long each scene would take to film. And obviously this would mean shooting in the most efficient and cost-effective way, whilst giving everyone a good lunch break. Then I had to think about post-production, which admittedly I thought was going to be the easiest part of this process, as I was already a very competent editor. I had good audio skills as I went to music college and had recorded all the albums of my previous band. And I saw the process of professionally colouring my film as something I could pick up along the way and wouldn't be a stressful process at all or require a steep learning curve.
Holy fuck. So hard. Oh.
The final thing to consider was where this film was going to go. Was it YouTube or was it Sundance? Well, in reality, it was somewhere in the middle. And Chris had kindly offered to put £1,000 towards distribution and marketing at the end of the project. So, with all the thinking ahead I could manage, I came in just under my £3,000 budget with a shoot that lasted 4 days across 3 locations. And I'm not including the £1,000 that Chris set aside for promotion. So the moment that this project really became real is with this next step. And this is prior to spending a penny on any part of the production. Setting a date. Now, setting a date is really important, and not only because it's something to look forward to, but you're about to make commitments with people who will rely on you. And as the director, it's up to you that everything runs smoothly on that date. So just for context, we were in February of 2023 and I was looking to shoot in May of the same year. And so far, all we had was a script and a cost breakdown sheet.
It didn't really hit home that it was like a real production. I thought, oh yeah, it's just going to be, a few days and we're going to have a laugh and so on. It hit home when we filmed the first scene. when I saw the just the extraordinary amount of kind of effort that everyone was kind of putting in. We had like cameras there. You were strapped up with cameras attached to you. There was boom mics going. Everyone had a job to do, and it proper hit home to me. And I was like, holy shit, we're actually making this movie. This is insane.